We are going to talk about Winter Dance Party today and an interesting event that's coming up on Sunday, February 1st. And our guest is Tommy Canale, the author of Shadows Over Clear Lake, the tragic tale of the 1959 Winter Dance Party. Tommy, thanks a lot for joining us here and to talk about your book and also a special presentation you're going to have on Sunday night of the Winter Dance Party.
I appreciate the invite, Bob. I'm happy and humbled to be part of your show.
Well, let's first of all talk about the book, Shadows Over Clear Lake, the tragic tale of the 1959 Winter Dance Party. And it sounds like it's a book you put a lot of research into.
Yeah, and I put a disclaimer. It's funny you bring that up because I don't claim to be a writer, although I did write the book. I'm a big researcher, and this book is heavily research driven. I mean, everything in there is what I have gathered from facts that I could confirm in the book. And it was basically every single day of research, including every holiday you could think of in a calendar year for almost 2 straight years.
Well, maybe, dive into a little bit deeper. What kind of things did you really, when you started researching things, really get interested in and want to focus on?
Well, the biggest surprise that came to me real quickly was after I got involved in this story was how many people that even are from that era and the generations behind me don't even know who the artists were. So that's where I started. And then once I started to dive in, let's explain who J.P. Richardson, the Big Bopper, and Buddy Holly and Richie Valens are. Then it was, we have to explain the 50s because now we're starting from an era that kind of really pushed us to where we are today, a much simpler, much innocent time period. So I had to start there with the research of letting people know what it was like in the 50s and then who these artists were. And then add in pilot Roger Peterson, who's the forgotten name of this story, and then get into everything else that goes on with this tragic story about the plane and the investigation and maybe what could have happened. And I spoke with many different pilots and aviation experts that study plane crashes to try and put this whole story in perspective together.
You mentioned Roger Peterson, and like you say, that's the person that always gets kind of shoved off to the side of this story. And of course, the aviation company that he flew for was based out of the Mason City Airport, and the Dwyer family, of course, a lot of people in Clear Lake are very familiar with. But talk a little bit more about what you found out about Roger Peterson.
Yeah, when I do my presentations, and I'll be doing 3 of them during the Winter Dance Party on 10:30 a.m. on Thursday and Friday and 2:30 p.m. on Saturday. And you can get tickets for any one of those, right up into including the start of the time. My big thing with that, Bob, is simply this. People go to the memorial site to pay their respects to the 3 artists and that beautiful monument that's there that I took a picture of and put on the cover of my book. But they don't turn their gaze just a few paces to the right to a set of wings that is a memorial for pilot Roger Peterson. And I'm asking everybody, and I've gone all over now to do these presentations, to simply do this. When you're talking about the day the music died, and you mentioned the 3 artists, add in pilot Roger Peterson. He's a part of this rock and roll history. He was the pilot on this plane, but he's not mentioned. He grew up in a 1-room schoolhouse in a small town in Iowa, and started flying at the age of 9 or 10 years old. He married his high school sweetheart, and they lived right down the street from the surf ballroom at the time of the accident. And, he fortunately had not passed his instrument training flying section, but he did pass the instrument panel written section of the test, and he just wasn't completely certified to fly off for instrument panels only, which this flight required. But Roger Peterson had done many chartered flights. And yes, he had some issues with some vertigo and some right ear inner balance things and some other things, but he's a forgotten name of the story. And I hate that he's forgotten. I think he needs to start being remembered.
Talk a little bit more about, the surf ballroom and your interactions with the surf here, and, what it means to you to be able to, look at this whole Winter Dance Party situation from 1959 and what happened after that.
Yeah, this thing for me started when I visited the memorial site with my mother and sister on a road trip vacation as I live in Las Vegas. And then we took the 5-mile trek over to the surf, and we pulled up in front and saw the old marquee and ticket booth. I was like, wow, what a period of time, because I'd never seen or anything like that. And then when I walked in those front doors and I looked to the left and saw the coat check, I froze in my tracks and the hair in the back of my neck stood up. And to this day, Bob, when I walk into the surf, that hits me every single time. And I don't know what it is about it, but it hits me and it resonates to a level I can't explain. And my mom and sister went one way and I went another. I have been to many places to put this book together. And there's two places that I deem that are absolutely magical. The Surf Ballroom by far is number one. And number two would be the Norman Petty Studio in Clovis, New Mexico, where Buddy recorded his songs. But when I was at the surf that day, Bob, I sat in one of those booths and I stared at the stage for I don't know how long in this trance. And my mind kept going over and over of what was it like that night? Who was here? What happened? How did they get here? Where did they go? How did they get to the air? And it was just this revolving circle of like a hamster wheel in my head, just kept going over and over. And that kicked it off for me.
And a lot of people that are here in Clear Lake and Mason City, don't get that perspective necessarily. And sometimes I know people kind of wonder, well, yes, the Surf Ballroom had that connection and whatnot, but they may not understand people coming here from outside the area to experience what you just talked about.
Yeah, it's a magical place, and I've had friends and family members have come to the surf since I have gotten in this project, and every one of them walk out of there shaking their head and trying to put together what they've just felt by seeing all the signatures in the green room and walking up on that stage and seeing the ballroom as it is. And I think a lot of people that in here, I live in Las Vegas and I take the Strip for granted. And a lot of people here come for the Las Vegas Strip. So I get the Surf Ballroom being in your backyard is taken for granted, but you'd have to appreciate it for what it is. And it's a magical place.
Talk a little bit more about what the Through Your Eyes experience will be on Sunday night.
Yeah, that's going to be held at the Palms upstairs at the Mech, which is, obviously the new building next door to the surf. And I'm going to have with me Connie Valens and Irma and Mario Ramirez, the two sisters and brother of Richie. Sherry Holly's coming in, who's the niece of Buddy Holly, who I interviewed for the book, as well as the Valens family. And then we're going to have some people from the Richardson family. And then hopefully we're going to have a couple people there with me that were there that night on February 2nd at the surf to witness the concert. And this is not a night to talk about what happened. This is not a night to talk about the crash and the tragedy. This is a night to talk about, through these people's eyes, who was Richie Valens, Buddy Holly, and J.P. Richardson. And what was it like to be there that night? And let's talk about the era of the 50s and this more simpler time. And that's what I put together and written this show about, is for people to come in and let's learn about who these artists were, not from reading, but from the mouths of people that knew them directly.
Well, and I know I'm talking with members of the Valens family before, and then, of course, J.P. Richardson's son had constantly come back here to Clear Lake to attend either the Winter Dance Party and perform at it, or do some other things involved with the Winter Dance Party. But just these families have always seemed to wanted to be open with the public and come here, which has been a great thing because we've been able to learn more about their lives.
Yeah, and what I think is very, very cool to me, from somebody from the outside that got involved into this story and really have become part of my life, and it's a passion of mine now, is how the people of Clear Lake have opened their arms and supported the members of these families that have been tragically, and to this day are still very devastated by this. And they continue to outpour and outreach to these families and let them know that they are welcome there and they are loved there and they are wanted there. I think it's a very, very cool thing. And that was one of the things that kind of helped get my mind going of putting this show together. Because I'm like, let's bring them in and let's talk about, the stories they know that probably have never been heard of. And that's what I'm asking them to go is, hey, Connie, tell us something that we don't know about Richie or, Irma, and some things like that. To just let's learn about who they were.
Anything else you want to add about Sunday night's event or the other events you're doing over the weekend?
The one thing I will say is for the Sunday night event, it's what I'm very honored and humbled to be part of. It's the first of its kind for the Winter Dance Party Tour. It's always been about the music and the bands, and it probably always will be. But to have this opportunity to put this show on for everybody is very exciting for me. I'm thrilled to do it. And I can tell you this from the presentations that I've done. There's a lot of things that I've been bringing up from people. I did it for the soft grand opening for the MEC in front of the board, and a lot of people that are, big figures in the town of Clear Lake and Mason City. It was well received. And the one thing that I will take to my grave is when they came up to me and said, hey, we've lived this, but we learned something tonight from you. So I've been telling people, hey, you might know it, and I'm sure you might know all of it, but there might be just something that I've dug up and researched that you might learn from coming to the presentation.
Recap again when people can interact with you with the book presentations, and once again the event we were just talking about, Through Their Eyes.
Yeah, the book presentations will be Thursday morning at 10:30. It's an hour, and then Friday morning at 10:30. Saturday will be at 2:30 p.m. And then Sunday night the doors will open at 6:30, and I believe the show will start around 7 or 7:30 for the Through Your Eyes. Those are all separate tickets events. They're singular tickets for the presentation and for the show on Sunday, outside of the musical acts that are being going on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's headlined by, obviously, Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, which, I don't know about you, Bob, but I'm excited to see him.
It's going to be another fun weekend, and it's always great the entertainment that the Surf is able to put together for this great event. So, Tommy, we appreciate you joining us here, and we will wish you safe travels here when you come to Iowa, and we look forward to your being at the Winter Dance Party events that weekend.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to get there and meet some more people.
Author Tommy Canale joining us here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO.